And thank you for joining us for Homecoming 2020 Goes Virtual. We're so happy that you're able to come together virtually to celebrate Montclair State. My name is Jean Morano. I'm the Assistant Vice President for Annual Giving and Alumni Engagement, and I'd like to welcome you to today's program. You're part of a successful network of fellow Red Hawks that's over 130,000 strong and growing, with members in all 50 states and worldwide, and we've had a great showing today. Your engagement is very important to us, from helping us to recruit the next class of Red Hawks, to providing career resources for our current students, like serving as a mentor or speaking in a class or offering internships, to helping us build and strengthen the Montclair State Alumni Network by participating in events and activities as you have throughout the day today. So be sure to stay connected through Montclair Connect, the newly updated online community, and you can check out the website for additional information at montclair.edu/alumni. So let's get started. Our session today is finding the best vision of you through self-awareness. Without a sense of internal awareness, we get stuck in a rut and struggle to make a decision on next steps in our personal and professional lives. Having a strong sense of self-awareness is recognized as one of the most important capabilities toward leadership and career development. So today we're thrilled to have with us career and executive leadership coach, Tara Chiari, founder of Smile Across the Finish Line. Tara?
Hi, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Jean. Thank you for the intro. I'm going to just get my screen shared. Give me a moment. Okay. We should have this come through. 1 second. All right. You guys should be seeing me. Welcome, everyone. I am delighted to be presenting today's topic. I'm very passionate about this topic, finding the best version of you through self-awareness. My name is Tara Chiari, and I am an executive and career coach, and I love helping people turn an I can't into I can, and I don't know into an I know. Once upon a time, I was a marketing executive in the music business. I worked on major music labels such as Capitol Records and Sony Music, and I would boost and launch the careers of rock stars. About 8 years ago, I started a career transition into executive and career coaching, and eventually formed my own business called Smile Across the Finish Coaching. And beyond my private practice, I also work in higher education. I manage career services at Wagner College on Staten Island, where I'm based. And I'm also a professor of career management here at Montclair to our MBA students. I like to say I used to boost and launch the careers of rock stars, and now I make rock stars out of executives and aspiring professionals. A fun fact about me is that I am also a very avid runner. I love to run, and I've done 12 marathons and ultra marathons. So because I'm so passionate about running, I've incorporated that into my personal brand. This is something I built on my own sense of self-awareness. I'm delighted to facilitate today's topic, and let's get started. So a couple of important things I want to make sure everyone's aware of as far as ground rules. I see you guys are all starting to log in and take in this information. Please get comfortable with maybe being uncomfortable. There might be some topics you have to think through in a new way, and I want you to accept that it might feel uncomfortable, and that's okay. Stretch outside that zone, okay? Be curious and open-minded, and you're welcome to leave any questions in the chat box, or you can raise your virtual hand and we can unmute you if you'd rather speak to me. Either way, I welcome all participation. Chances are a question you have is a question someone else has. So please bring it out there to me. And you may also want to have some form of note-taking, a pen and paper, or some digital form of note-taking, because there's a lot of information I'm going to be putting at you today. And it may not all sink in this moment, but you may want to look back afterwards and reflect on what we talked about. Okay, so today's goals are, we find ourselves sometimes hitchhiking through life events and going through the motions, and then suddenly something crazy happens, like a global pandemic, and that forces us to pause and reflect on where we want to go and what we want to do next. And without that internal awareness, we really get stuck. So this is why having a strong sense of self-awareness helps you figure out the direction you want to go next, whether it's related to your leadership, your career, your personal development. So this workshop's going to take a holistic approach and dive into the power that you get from self-awareness. going to help you identify your strengths, your hidden skills, your interests, your values, and also design a vision for your future life. It's going to give you a sense of empowerment and have tools to continue. So I'm just touching the tip of the iceberg today. The tools that I'm giving you are resources I want you to continue to work with. And if you put them on the side, but go back to them when you have some free time, they will continue to help you get a strong sense of self-awareness so you can have a compass on the direction that you wish to go. Two of the exercises that we're really going to dive into today are called the your accomplishment stories and design your future life. And those will be posted as well in the chat section. I'm just going to make sure. Yeah, so Caitlin just posted the links for them. If you didn't previously download them when you registered for this event, they were sent to you. You can also download them from the chat box right now. Okay, so before we actually get into this topic, I think it's really important we take a moment to help you manage the internal dialogue and stay in a positive mindset. This is a scary time. There's a lot of unknowns and surprises happening around every corner. And it can make us feel unsettled and anxious and out of control. So a healthy and empowering way to push through those anxious feelings is to take control of your mindset, your internal dialogue. And I'm bringing this up because the exercises I'm giving you, they may start to unleash some gremlins in you. And I want you to remember how to get back on track, assuming best case scenario, assuming positive dialogue. Think about, what was the last bit of dialogue you had with yourself? Was it negative? Was it positive? Be mindful of those negative thought traps. Recognize when it's happening. And we need these internal checks and balances because our thoughts are not necessarily synonymous with the truth. So control what you can control, and that's your internal dialogue. And when you find yourself launching into that negative thought trap, challenge yourself to identify the thoughts that caused you to feel this way. And then ask yourself, is this thought helpful or productive? Can I do something right now to change any of these outcomes? And is it true? And if the answers are no, you have to flip the script. And once you've done that, it will be time again to refocus on what you can control. And this is a very important exercise to ground yourself in as we move through this process of self-awareness. Okay, so self-awareness, sometimes referred to as self-assessment, self-reflect, self-discovery. Why is it important? Why is this so important? And why is it important to you? If you could throw your comment in the chat box. I'm looking, I'll pay attention to the chat box. Why is it important to be self-aware, to self-assess, to self-reflect, all these fancy terms? Why do we need to do this? Why do we have to look inside, look at ourselves internally? What's the real value of that? Okay, Christian, it helps you realize your strengths, weaknesses, and things that you value. Good, yes. And you know, sometimes we go so fast through the day, through life, we're not really tapping into what are all of our strengths, weaknesses, things that we value. So that's a great point. Okay, I'm going to keep moving, and if someone else pops it in, we'll come back to it. I want to point out some things here. So Marilyn wrote, because we are surrounded by negativity and social media and pandemic life, and we need to keep centered to combat it. That is a really good point. And when you can take a moment to say, no matter what's going on around me, the tornado of craziness, you center yourself with what's internal. That's a very good point. And you can never do enough of it. And you can never do enough of that mindfulness, self-awareness. So does this scenario sound familiar to you? You feel like you're going a mile a minute. You're driven to, finish school or manage your household or help your family or, get through your job. And you have lots of ambition to give and lots of fleeting ideas. But you may lack that sense of direction or a path that is really fulfilling. And now you're thinking, well, this is a really challenging job market. So how could I possibly try to even make a change? And so you start hitchhiking. and you apply to a range of opportunities, or whoever ends up just giving you the offer, you just jump into it and experiment. It's like a career experiment. And that might work fine, or it may have already worked fine for you up until a point. But you find all of a sudden, you don't really want to be in that place. You dealt with it, you made the best of it, but it's not really where you wanted to be in the first place. Or maybe you continue to move lateral between jobs in search of what you want and making every search more difficult because you're really not sure what you want to go after. And maybe you luck out and you land on something you want. On a personal level, you could be so busy spinning your wheels in a job you don't love that you can't seem to find a way to do the personal things you want. Things feel out of balance. You have no time for self-care, for your hobbies. And maybe you like the idea of having more personal space, but you're just not sure what you should be doing in that personal space. And you find yourself asking this big open question: what do you want? Now, in the context of your personal and professional life, what's your reaction when I ask you, what do you want? Let that sit in you for a moment, right? We all have asked ourselves that. Maybe not enough. It may float out in the ether on us, but what do you want? Can you come up with a detailed and clear answer? Can you think of what you want in terms of short-term goals? What about long-term goals? And can you get a strategic vision on how that can work? In order to fully answer this question in the context of your career, and honestly, when it comes to any area of your personal professional development, it's knowing your values, your work values, your personal values, your strengths, your interests, your skills, all of these details, all these like ingredients, they help formulate your answer to the big question of what do you want? So to know what you want, you really need to know what your values are. And the key to being content and satisfied and feeling your best self is when you are living in alignment with your values. So what are values? What is a value? You can just pop it into the chat box. What is a value? What does that mean? Whether it's a work value, a personal value, what does that word mean to you? What do you feel a value is for you? Okay, there might be a delay in the transmission, so I'm going to keep going, but if you pop it in, I'll catch it. A value are your core principles, your beliefs, and an important part of who you are. And in knowing these values, knowing what your value is, usually you feel unsatisfied or stuck in a rut when you don't know what they are, or you're out of alignment. And it's important to know what your values are because it helps you recalibrate and recognize why maybe you're not happy. I find this happens all the time. As I said before, I introduced myself. I've gone through a career transition, and there was a point in my career in the music industry, doing marketing, working with all these fabulous artists. Sounds like a great job, sounds really fabulous, and it was for a long time. But all of a sudden, at one point, I said, I'm really not happy here. What is going on? And when I really self-reflected, self-assessed, and looked at what was going on, my values were out of alignment with where I was working and what I was doing. Okay, so let's look at this list of work-related values. What would you say are your top 3 most important for you personally? What would be your top 3 most important values? Take a moment, read through it, and you could jot it into the, type it into the chat box. What might be your top 3 most important work values? Could it be change and variety? Could it be having time for personal life? Is it being an expert? Is it wanting to be in a competitive environment? Is it you want it to be high risk taking and adventuresome? Is it you want to be able to work alone? You have to really think about the different kind of work values because this can shape all the decisions you make. It can shape your life decisions, whether it's career related or personal. and they can help guide you as you move through each step. I see Jeannie wrote, I like what you wrote, serving a mission. That's wonderful. Yeah, and so when you know you want to serve a mission, if that's one of your values, you can always ground yourself in the fact of, if I'm doing this job, am I serving the mission I believe in? If I take on this experience, whatever it may be, personal, professional, am I serving a mission? That's a great one.
Hey, Tara, we had a hand raise.
Oh, okay.
Michael Freeze, I'm gonna.
Okay, go ahead.
Allow to talk, I think.
Go ahead. Is it Michael? Hi, Michael. Michael, are you there? Maybe he's not there.
Okay.
His mic is open. Well,
Yeah.
you know what, if Michael, if you want, you can always pop it into the chat box if you have a question. Oh, okay, he's here. I guess maybe his mic can't. I'm going to unmute him. Maybe it'll work. Can you try speaking now, Michael? You know what, Caitlin, I think you have the power to unmute him. I don't. I just tried, but I don't have it.
You just have to ask to unmute him, so he has to unmute himself if he wants to speak.
Okay.
Oh, there we go. Michael, do you want to say a little something?
Okay. I'm going to keep going, Michael, but I don't want to leave you hanging. So why don't, for now, you put your question in the chat box or your comment, and I'll come right back to it. Oh, you have no microphone on your computer. Okay. So put it in the chat box, and we will, I'll definitely address whatever your question is. I see some other folks put some values, chance to advance, enjoying work tasks, and being an expert, right? So Candace, you know, these are important aspects to your decisions. And when that's not happening, chances are you're either going to be very unhappy, feel stuck in a rut, or have to figure out what's your next move. Marilyn wrote, independence, right? So you may want to really know you have a sense of autonomy. Maybe it's an entrepreneurial spirit, but you know you need to have that independence. And when it goes away and it gets maybe muddied, I'm just going to speculate, it gets muddied in bureaucracy and red tape, chances are you're not going to be living your best life. You're not going to be very happy. So when you know what you want, you can get what you want. And I say this all the time to my clients, to my students, and even to myself, because sometimes I even forget. I go, what's going on? Wait a minute. I don't really know what I want, so I can't get it. I know something's not right, but I need to clarify what it is I want. And your core values are like a compass. They're a useful tool to help you make decisions. Unsure which direction to go, you consult that compass to inform your choice. So let's look closer at how values can impact your decisions and choices. So highlighted on this slide are those of a developer client I once worked with. Notice what he selected. His values were ease, work alone, location of workplace, and tranquility, clear expectations and procedures. Okay, these are his values. Clear expectations and procedures, work alone, the location, having a sense of tranquility. So knowing these are his values, which gig would you say is a better fit for him? Is it A or is it B? Is it A or is it B? And you can just pop it into the chat box. So he likes ease of working. He likes to work alone. Location is important. Is it A or B that might be a better fit for him when you look at the job? A, yes. I see the A's coming through. So here's something I want to point out, right? Obviously, this is a nice cut and dry example. This is A, right? It's remote working. He's working with one person as opposed to a team. He has minimal travel. So, you know, there's a sense of tranquility for him. But here's something else I want to point out to you, because I think many of us have crossed this road. The salary for job A is low end of the range, but B while it's definitely out of alignment with his core values, his core work values, the salary is higher. So sometimes we choose, we say, you know what, I want to make more money. And if that's the choice you made, then be conscious of your strategy, that was the reason you took the job, and consider having a bigger plan on what you're going to do to get yourself to that next place where your job is in alignment with your values. Because, you know, you take the job, you get more money, but then after a short while, you're miserable. You're stuck in a rut and you go, oh, but I can't leave. The money's too good. So be conscious that's what's happening so you can adjust and strategize your overarching career plan. Okay. So how do you figure out your values, right? How do you figure out what you want? And some of you may have a sense of this just through, life experiences and conversations with people, but there are really two key self-assessment exercises that can help you get to the heart of this answer. Your accomplishment stories is one of them, and the other is design your future life vision. That's another very valuable exercise I'll cover in a moment. So your accomplishment stories. It's the opportunity to examine your most satisfying experiences of your life and to discover the skills you'll want to use as you go forward. You'll look at times when you did something particularly well and you enjoyed doing it. And the exercise is designed to put emphasis on what you did well and enjoyed doing. Remember that magic combo. And this is the foundation for everything you do in your search. Once you know what you do well and enjoy doing, you can go after it. You can target those opportunities and reflect on the fact that you're going after things you really want and they make you happy. And it can help you focus on what you want to do in your next job, develop your job targets. It can help you identify your passions, your interests, your hobbies, because you know these are things that you really enjoy doing and can do pretty well. So your accomplishment stories, the way it breaks down, they ask you to list out 20 accomplishments, and you want to identify those concrete examples and filter it to your top 5. You make a choice of the top 5, which you expand further. And those 5 stories you get more detailed around. What motivated you, what skills you had, what were your strengths and interests. And it's important to push yourself to list out at least 20 accomplishments, because you can probably easily rattle off about 5, maybe 10 things that you're really proud of that you did well. But pushing yourself to go deeper and self-reflect across your whole life, that's how you can really tap into a heightened sense of self-awareness and best inform your internal compass on what you want. So again, you're going to list out things from personal, life, work-related, all that you did well and enjoyed doing. And it could go to when you were very young. It could go to your school years. It could be hobbies. It could be job-related. And you want to write these things down as they occur to you, no matter how insignificant or silly they may seem. Typically, those are the ones that have the most revealing insights. I find every client I work with, they have their, maybe top 10 that it's very professional, very work-related, maybe a handful of personal things they did. And then they get to what I think are the fun things. And they said, well, this was really silly, but I was struggling to think of what to write. I'm like, yeah, that's the one we want to look at, because that's where you can tap into your hidden skills, your hidden interests, or the things you know you're interested in, but you kind of don't, you push it aside because you're so busy in the grind of life. So remember, you've got to list these things in an order of what you did well and enjoyed doing. And here's the thing, I can clean my house really well. I don't like doing it. So I wouldn't put that down. Make sure whatever you're putting, that when you think about it, when you write it, if you say it out loud, you feel happy about it. You get excited. You want to keep talking about it. If you find as you're writing it, you get kind of like, oh yeah, well, this was pretty miserable. I didn't really like this part, but the results were great. Well, recognize, did you really enjoy this? Because this may not be something you want to consider as a continued skill or interest to pursue going forward. And if you struggle with getting to the 20, you could also, it's fun to share this with a family member, a friend, someone who knows you, because they could remember something or pick up on a blind spot that you're just ignoring, and they could help you see yourself in a different perspective. So to get started, you're going to ask yourself, this question. There was a time when I enjoyed, fill in the blank. There was a time when I enjoyed. And like I said, it starts out easy and then it starts to become what else? What else? So make sure you put those little snippets of ideas down because those are the ones you want to continue to flesh out. Now I'm going to give you an example. So this is an example of, just 8 accomplishment stories. And I want you to take a look at it because I want you to think the next slide is going to show you who this person might better fit for an opportunity. So in this case, we have finished my first marathon, even after dislocating my shoulder. That was not me. I could never do that. Became fluent in Mandinka during my Peace Corps time. Enjoyed a 3-month mission with UNICEF to Central African Republic. Researched and wrote an article that was published in local newspaper about importance of civic engagement and community volunteerism. Became proficient in Italian, trained a team of volunteers to fundraise for a local food pantry, more Peace Corps experience living in the same village, planning an international trip for herself and friends every summer. So taking just these stories, which is a better fit for this person's accomplishments? Is it A or is it B? Which might be a better fit for this person's accomplishments? Just if you're thinking professionally. Would it be A, the product manager at a nonprofit, or a product manager as a consultant? And I'm going to flip back. Okay, I see you just said Angela A. I'm just going to flip back one more time. So remember, A, these are some of the stories that were listed out. Right? There's a lot of experience working with international, with nonprofit organizations, using different languages. So which of these might be a better fit? Yeah, good. Okay, everyone's putting A. So this is the thing, right? This person clearly would probably be more satisfied working at a nonprofit as opposed to working as a consultant in this other situation where it's local travel, it's not international travel, right? Also has to be very good with communication. This person has a skill for writing, had researched and written an article. So when you work on your accomplishment stories, you start to tease out your skills, your passions, and that's how you know when you start looking for opportunities, whether it's work-related or even in a personal sense. You can tell, does this fit? Does the circle fit in the circle, or am I fitting a circle in the square? Okay, so I know you guys were sent your accomplishment stories, and even just as you listen to me reflect on this, I would really like to hear one of your stories. I'd like someone to share with me what's one thing that they feel they did well and enjoyed doing. And as they share, I want everyone to listen to see what might be, first of all, does it sound like they enjoyed it, right? When we hear them share it, does it sound like they enjoyed it and they were happy with it? What might be the skills in their story, right? It could be soft skills, transferable skills, very important to see those transferable skills. And is there anything else that we're missing from them, right? Like, is there something else? Like, is there a theme that's coming through, a pattern coming through? I'm just going to see, you could raise your hand. Certainly you have to have a microphone to be able to participate in this part. So if you don't have a microphone or you don't want to speak, you can quickly write in the chat box what might be an example of one of your accomplishment stories. And I'll give you a moment to do this, because I know it takes time to transfer over. And you can raise your virtual hand also. So again, we're looking for an example of accomplishment story, something that you did well and enjoyed doing. I will, for now, give you a personal example, and if someone wants to chime in and share with us, that would be great. So for me, when I did this exercise years ago, I was feeling stuck in my job as a marketing executive. And one of the things I wrote down was, When I was in high school, I went to the High School of Music and Art in the city, and I was an alto saxophonist. And I loved playing music. I loved jazz, and I loved the feeling of performing. I loved creative spontaneity, and I loved listening to music and to hear the notes behind the music and the anticipation of what would come next. And in marketing meetings, another story I had was when I run my marketing meetings at work, I love to have them structured and organized, but encourage brainstorming of ideas from everyone in the room. And I really liked helping everyone have a voice so they could be heard. So when I shared those two examples, for me, the skills that I started realizing were a common theme were listening, right? Serves me very well as a coach, having a sense of intuition, helping others shine, being in a creative environment, encouraging creative ideas. These are all transferable skills that continue to serve me very well. And I always feel grounded and satisfied with what I'm doing, because while I'm not necessarily playing my saxophone and, playing in a jazz band, I'm still able to listen to what people are sharing with me. I'm still able to even perform. I'm presenting. I'm speaking to people with words instead of with notes. So I have found a way to recognize through self-awareness my skills, my hidden skills, and how to keep them anchored throughout my life. Okay, I see the chat lighten up. So let me come and look at what we got here. Okay. Okay, so Michael, that is very impressive. And clearly that speaks to your resilience, your tenacity, your dedication, your commitment. Angela, I make a very good auditor. When others checked company tax returns and found no problems, I would recheck and find them. Yes. So it sounds to me like you were very detail oriented. You probably enjoy the procedures and the protocol and really kind of problem solving, and not missing, like making sure all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. Marilyn, okay, there was a time when I enjoyed assisting wedding planners and bridal parties in project managing the wedding, working with other vendors, banquet hall and catering staff, as well as being involved in some decor and floral arrangements. Oh, so that speaks to your event planning skills, right? And maybe, if we were in a coaching session, maybe other elements to this. It could be you love helping connect people with bringing their vision together. Maybe you love the communication with all the different vendors, and it was almost like putting a beautiful puzzle together of all the pieces, from the decor to the seating. That's a great example. Hold on, I just don't want to miss one. Okay, Claudine, I joined the University Club student newspaper out of random interest, and it turns out I really enjoyed doing the tasks in the club that I wish I could get paid for it, designing the look of the paper. I definitely want to do it again. So that's a great example, right? You are recognizing something that it's not necessarily part of your job or what you're getting paid for, but you love doing it. It sounds like what you're describing is graphic design. So, or maybe it's writing, but I think you said graphic design, designing the look of the paper, right? So I'm just going to go out on a limb and say, if it's graphic design, well, if this seems to come up for you, this may be something that you will want to consider getting additional training in. Maybe you get a certification or you join a special workshop to learn more about that skill so you can get paid. And maybe that's part of your longer term vision. Maybe it's not something for the next 5 years, but maybe you say, I'm going to stay where I'm at in my work right now. And in 5 years, I'm going to have all the skills I need to shift into this kind of work that I love doing. Thanks for sharing that. All right, Candace said, training an international call center and having a curriculum and the ability to adjust to the particular needs to the group throughout the training. And the pattern was I was selected to assist classmates with schoolwork as a child, even though I did not remember until my mother recently reminded me. So clearly, this is a strength of yours. This is like innate to you. And I love that you clearly have talked about this with a family member, and it even validated what you were sensing. And it's something that you always will lean into no matter what you're doing in life. That's great. Marilyn's giving me lots of yeses. Sometimes I don't know, sometimes I'm able to, I feel like I'm able to read through the people when they write in the chat box. Sundra, you should be able to see everything people are writing because it's there. Everyone that's posting it is to all. Everyone's posting it to all panelists. That's why. Okay. Caitlin, I don't know if you can switch it so that it's not to all panelists.
I'll see what I can do, but I'll check it out.
Okay.
I think you have to manually change it on your end if you guys are
Yeah.
sending it in.
I think
It's
that's why.
the little drop down.
You know, Sandra, thanks for telling us that, because I just wouldn't have picked up on it, but you're right. It's going to the panelists, not all panelists and attendees. That's why. Okay, let me see. And, oh, okay, you just put it in there. All right, so I don't want to miss any other comments. Yeah, anyone that did post, could you repost it and just change your to all panelists and attendees? That way anyone that missed it could actually see what's being shared. Those were great examples of building your accomplishment stories. And, you know, that was just one example, but there can be, you know, think about it, you're going to get to 20. You could go even more than that, but a good hefty 20 starts to identify those themes and patterns as well. Okay, so before I move on to discussing the next exercise, your future life vision plan, are there any questions related to your accomplishment stories? Does anyone have any questions related to this? Otherwise, I'm going to move to the next one. And I mean questions in the sense of, if you did start working on the exercise, did you get stumped? Were you struggling to identify a skill? Okay, so everyone posted their comments. That's great. You even got a round of applause from Sindra. Okay. All right, I'm going to keep moving, but if there are questions on the accomplishment stories, just pop it in the chat box. I'll come back to it. Okay, so let's look at the Design Your Future Life Vision exercise, right? And this exercise refines your internal compass when it comes to making decisions and being strategic with your short-term goals. So if you don't know where you are going, you'll end up someplace else. That's by Yogi Berra. And while no one can predict the future, we can hold a vision of what we want and work toward that vision. And your Future Life Vision exercise gives you the chance to imagine what your life will look like down the road. And the power of this exercise is to give you a chance to take a stand, decide where you want to head, and go for it. Work will no longer be work, but an activity that's giving you pleasure and pride and a sense of accomplishment because it's carrying your vision. And what is revealed to you in this exercise, it may not directly impact an immediate job opportunity you land now, but it may shape the way you approach the position and the way you set yourself up for the next move. This self-assessment exercise helps you clarify your long-term priorities and goals, focus on how your job and career fit into your whole life, connect to your values and goals, develop job targets that complement your goals, build your pitch and positioning of where you want to be, not where you were, right? So this is one point I just want to emphasize. This is not about remembering what you did in the past. This is all about moving forward, looking forward of where you want to go. We outgrow things. There are things that we love doing in our 20s. We no longer want to do it in our 40s and 50s. So it also helps you engage with people who are aligned with your vision and tap into even your altruism and consider what problem in the world do you want to contribute to solving in your lifetime, and how can you bring that into your future life vision exercise. So the way this exercise works is it asks you to look at different areas of your whole life and to think about how those areas will look in the future. If any of you have ever worked with a life coach before, you may have done something like this. It's a very popular exercise, and it's called the life wheel. And these are really the areas in your life that contribute to your well-being. When you focus on giving attention to all these areas, you tend to feel a sense of balance. And I say balance kind of like as much balance as any of us can have, but maybe it's more about a sense of setting boundaries appropriate to what best fits you. So the Future Life Vision exercise is asking you questions aligned with these important areas related to your career. What kind of work do you do? Or who are your friends? How do you take care of your spiritual needs? What are your hobbies? What do you do for fun and recreation? How is your health? And I always say, when you do this exercise, Assume best case scenario. How is your health? Where are you living? What's the physical environment? Where are you located? Maybe in 5, 10 years from now, you want to be living on a farm up in Vermont, or you want to be living in a little apartment in the village. Think about where you want to be in a physical environment. That can have a big effect on the decisions you make today. What are you learning or trying to learn? What are your personal growth goals? And we do this in a series of time increments, right? Now, the exercise you have actually maps it out in 5-year, 10-year increments. And it asks you, where do you see yourself from this point in time, 20 years out? Now, I realize, and I've worked with clients, that there's only so far they want to look down the road. And I totally get that. So 5, 10, 15, 20 years may not be the best set of increments for you. So instead, adjust it. Consider making it 2, 3-year increments. Make it bite-sized and build from there and see how far out you can map your future life vision. So is having clarity of vision really that impactful? It is, and it's not magic. And here's a way I like to explain it. If you've ever gone shopping for a new car, and let's say you test drove the blue Toyota, you really liked it. You're thinking about the blue Toyota. And on the way home from the test drive, you can't believe that it's like blue Toyotas are everywhere on the road, everywhere you look. What happened? Was there a sudden surge of blue Toyotas in your area? No, it was your brain. It was heightened to the message of blue Toyotas. And so it sorted the images it saw according to that, to what you put in it. So I like to say, think of your brain like Google. You threw in there what you're looking for, and the search results started coming out. If you put nothing and hit enter, you get random results. But put in work at home position in a sunny climate, certain salary range, all of a sudden your brain is going to start searching for that criteria. And that is the power of vision and setting an intention for what you want. So I like this slide, and I always find it fun to facilitate, even virtually. We're going to take a moment here, and instead of thinking of blue Toyotas, we're going to give some thought to our ideal opportunity. And I want everyone to take a moment, just clear your thoughts, deep breath in and out. If it helps, you can look into the crystal ball. And after a few breaths, I want you to imagine your next step, right? Let's say it's your first day of work, or it's the first time you're doing something that you really, really want to do, that you haven't done. Maybe you've had some fears about doing something. Where are you? Where are you located? What does it actually look like around you? Are you home? Are you on the street? Are you at a park? Where physically are you? And when you move through this experience, who's around you? Are you by yourself? Are there people with you? Are you with pets? Are you with animals? And what are the people like? What's the environment like? What's the what kind of experience is happening around you? What kind of sounds are happening around you? What role are you playing? And how does it feel to be there? How are you feeling being in that moment that you've been aiming for, right? This is how you start to really think about what does your future look like. And you can have snippets of these moments, but the idea of this exercise is to hold you accountable, to sit down and be committed to setting your intentions. And some of it's going to be, these generic sweeping ideas of where you want to see yourself, but that's okay, because you're still giving guidelines to your brain on where you want to go next. So I would love to get some feedback from others who have started to work on this, or maybe your brain started thinking of stuff as we're talking. Where do you see yourself looking into the future? 5 years or 10 years, pick the time increment you want to share, and share with us where you see yourself. 5 or 10 years, it could be 20 years, whatever it is. You can just pop it into the chat box, but remember to choose all panelists and attendees. Or you could raise your hand and we can try to unmute you if you have access to a microphone. If you think 5 years from now, 2025, I feel like we've never are we ever going to leave 2020? But yes, we will. So where would you see yourself? Whether it's professionally or personally, do you see yourself living in a new environment? And if you do, what decisions can you make today to map a course in that direction? What steps do you need to take right now to move in that direction? You know, the process of doing this future life vision exercise, it isn't just to have these like, oh, I hope this happens one day. They are aspirations, but they can become your goals. And elements of it can wrap into your current decisions. What's the first step you need to take to move in that direction? Okay, so Angela, within 3 years, I find myself living in a new house. Okay, so that is something you want to get even more detailed on the exercise. Where would you see yourself? What kind of house? Or maybe you know what the house is, but if you don't, get specific with that. And what would you be doing? What does the environment look like? Where is the house located? Is it at the beach? Is it in an urban area? What's the are you near stores, or do you have, you're really remote? So think through all those details. Who are the people you're meeting? What are the local places near you? Because as you start to put this out there, and I love that you put this here, Angela. Oh, do me a favor, Angela, just post it again and make sure you switch it to all panelists and attendees. As you start to think about this, because you set that intention, the universe is going to keep bending to try and help you pull this together and make those goals happen. And you're going to be more thoughtful in any decisions you make, even in the short term. Okay, I just want to allow a moment if anyone else wants to share. Oh, thanks, Angela. Thanks for sharing it with everyone. Great. Okay, so are there any, oh, Sundra just wrote, I see myself downsizing what I own and having a simpler life. Okay, so that, right, so think more about that, right? What does that mean to you? How do you downsize? How will you actually move through those steps? What's the first decision you need to make to map yourself in that direction, to set the course for that direction? And living a simpler life, right? Make sure you get clear on what does that look like to you, because a simple life, your version of a simple life may not be my version or someone else's version. So really make it detailed, because the more detailed you are, the clearer your brain can be. Remember Google and search results, the clearer it can be with giving you the right results. It's got the right keywords to pull up the right results for you. That was a good one. Thanks for sharing that. Are there any questions related to the future life vision exercise? And I see you wrote, Sundra, just to add to what you said, I see myself downsizing what I own, having a simpler life, downsizing what you own. Okay. And maybe there's an element of that that wraps into or integrates how you can actually have a simpler life. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so I am going to leave you with this final thought. Okay, the goal of this workshop, it was to give you a sense of empowerment and have the tools to continue navigating your self-discovery journey and make better choices to change or to grow. And specifically, I've given you an overview of two very primary foundational self-assessments, your accomplishment stories, and design your future life vision. My final thought today to leave you with is from Eckhart Tolle: awareness is the greatest agent for change. And I encourage you to go forth and find your best version of you through self-awareness. Thank you for joining me in today's personal development workshop, Finding the Best Version of You Through Self-Awareness. I'm Tara Chiari, and you are welcome to connect with me on LinkedIn and keep in touch. Just please remember to include a note when you connect with me on LinkedIn, or I won't know who you are and I may not accept your invitation. So thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to turn this back to Caitlin.
Sure, I'm still on, so I'll just close.
Oh, hi, Jeannie.
Hi. So thanks, Tara, for that very engaging, informative session. I think it was really a great opportunity for us to come together and learn and share. And for those of you at home, your connection to Montclair State University doesn't end the day you graduate, it lasts a lifetime. So we ask you to stay connected to your alma mater and help us to continue to build a tradition of success for the next generation of Montclair State University graduates through a strong and active alumni network. So if you have any questions about this program or about getting involved at the university or any of your alumni benefits, please feel free to contact our office at 973-655-4141 or alumni@montclair.edu. So thanks again for joining us for Homecoming 2020. Go Red Hawks.
Take care. Bye, everyone.